iPhone 5s was released 7 years ago on September 20, 2013 along with the iPhone 5C as its budget alternative. What's up guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Joson. For today's topic, we are going to discuss, is the iPhone 5s still worth buying in 2021? But before we start, roll intro. She's a The iPhone 5s has a glass front wherein the frame and the housing are both from aluminum. It weighs 112 grams, which is considered as the lightest iPhone along with the iPhone 5 which I made a review of. On top, we have a power button. On this side, we have volume buttons and a ringer switch. On the other side, we have a SIM slot. Below, we have a lightning port, 2 speakers and a headphone jack. At the back, we have a single camera sensor which we'll get into later. At the front, we have a 4-inch display which we'll talk about later. And this was the first iPhone that revolutionized the fingerprint sensor, which is known as the first gen Touch ID, which is also used by the preceding models which are the iPhone 6, 6 Plus, and the iPhone SE, which we'll make a review of soon. I mean, speed-wise, given the fact that it was the first iPhone to have one, it was apparently a test product in a way that the manufacturers doesn't have something to compare it from in order to have improvements. In layman's term, in simple terms, it is slow in comparison with our current phones. Looking at the bright side, I would still prefer using a fingerprint sensor over face recognition due to practicality and ease of use. Design-wise, in my opinion, it was ahead of its time. Consequently, it is and still is the most beautiful iPhone design, which is a bit cliche in my channel, but it really is. Because of this beautiful piece of art, it was reincarnated the following year for the iPhone SE and the iPhone 12. Which none of this would happen without the iPhone 5, which I made a review of. So props to Sir Steve Jobs for designing a perfect phone build. I mean, the rectangular shape form factor may be compact and minimalistic, although it is still an eye-catching and nostalgic design. Corollary to that, props to the chamfered edges for contributing such perfection. So in layman's term, in terms of the design standpoint, it is still relevant, premium looking, considering its age. The iPhone 5s has a retina display, it has 4 inches and a screen-to-body ratio of 68.8%. It has a screen resolution of 640 by 1136 pixels and a pixel density of 326. Sadly, it is not HD, but what can you expect with a 7-year-old phone? In my opinion, it still seems HD and great in the average human eye. And by any means, for a 7-year-old phone, considering the age, it is still great, I should say. It still produces a sharp and a crispy display. Only problem is the screen size. It is a bit too small in contrast with phones we have nowadays. It is also quite an adjustment over the phone that I am currently using, which are the iPhone X and XR, which I made a review of. But looking at the bright side, we can still reach the 4 corners without having problems. So in conclusion, in general, screen display is still great and fantastic. Our only problem is the screen size. But if you're used to those sizes, trust me, it will not be a big of a problem. The iPhone 5s started from iOS 7, then upgradable to iOS 12.4.6. Fun fact, the iPhone 5s has the longest iOS update. It is powered by an Apple A7 chip, which was the first 64-bit CPU ever to be used for a smartphone. It packs a gigabyte of RAM and the available ROM or storage are 16, 32, and 64 gigabytes. Because of these tremendous upgrades, it gave the iPhone 5s a better performance quality among its predecessors and even competitors back in the day. And this new CPU delivered amazing speed back in 2013, which was a surprise for most people. But in today's standards, It is not as good as the current phones for obvious reasons, yet by any means, it is somehow recommendable in some aspects. However, if you're planning to invest for a phone that you can do most of your activities, then the iPhone 5s sadly is not an option I can suggest. Speed-wise, when it comes to opening apps or having lots of apps in the background, the Apple A7 chip is somehow having a problem powering the iPhone 5s, or in other words, it is having a hard time optimizing the phone to its full extent. Gaming-wise, the iPhone 5s as well is not recommendable. You will often face lags, frame drops, and all those stuff we hate. The camera of the iPhone 5s has 8 megapixels and an aperture of f-stop 2.2. It has a video resolution of 1080p at 30 fps. I mean, in my case, in my opinion, camera is alright, but I can't say it is great. It can shoot some good photos, but it just lacks low light situations. Although, with sufficient lighting, it shoots well at some point. The video quality, however, is not that decent. It is not stabilized, being able to only shoot at 1080p at 30 fps, which is kind of a bummer for vloggers as well as for amateur videographers. The front camera of the iPhone 5s has 1.2 megapixels and an aperture of f-stop 2.4. It has a video resolution of 720p at 30 fps. Front camera is a bit mediocre. I mean, pictures are a bit grainy and wobbly in low light situation. However, just like my recommendation earlier, just fine for a good angle and good lighting, and trust me, it will produce decent shots. So guys, this is the front camera of the iPhone 5s. It has 1.2 megapixels and the video resolution is 720p at 30 fps. So as you can see guys, for obvious reasons, I'm currently wearing a cap. It is because I'm not that confident with my looks or my hairstyle in general. So if you're interested in knowing or seeing what I look like or my hairstyle is, you may want to watch the whole video. So yeah. The iPhone 5s has 1560 mAh. One word. Mediocre. This is the worst aspect of this phone for obvious reasons. Other departments though are bearable, but in this case, it is not. It can last 1 to 2 hours more or less depending on usage, which obviously is not reliable for everyday use, even in terms of basic usage and multitasking. So the question, is the iPhone 5s still worth buying in 2021? Paying 1,500 pesos up to 3,000 pesos is not a practical choice. If you want a small phone with flagship specs, I mean not technically flagship specs but close to flagship specs with a 4-inch display, you may purchase the iPhone SE, which we'll make a review of soon, which only costs a little more pesos or dollars. And the good thing about that phone is that it has the same specs like its flagship brothers, which are the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, which we'll make a review of soon. However, if you are not into small phones like the iPhone SE, you may purchase its flagship brothers, which are the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, and trust me, it will be worth it. So guys, before we formally end this video, if you are an iPhone 5s user or you have used an iPhone 5s, please comment below your experiences with it. Let's communicate, let's socialize, and have a community, and help enlighten people planning to buy iPhones. By the way guys, just so you know, this is my third time making a review about the iPhone 5s. The first review got a decent amount of views, that is why I decided to make an updated review. However, that video before this video did not satisfy me, or in other words, I am not that satisfied with the video quality in general, my voice, my editing, and all those stuff. That is why I unlisted the video and decided to make a new one, which is this video. But still, at the end of this video, I will be showing you the comments in that specific video because there are important questions and answers from me and from the other viewers that may help us. Okay. Lastly guys, if you want a shoutout, just comment below anything with the hashtag EzekShoutouts. Okay. So guys, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Peace. I can't leave you. 널 왜 자꾸 밖에 나가고 싶어? 좋은 것만 내게 보여주고 싶은 거 나도 알아 근데 난 이게 더 좋은 걸 눈치 볼 필요도 없이 너를 만져도 되고 재밌는 영화도 보고 편해진 연애가 걱정이 된다면 말해 편한 일상 속에서 행복을 못 찾을 건 부질없는 짓이 Yeah, right now 난 이 보배 같은 너의 눈에 진주를 찾아서 네 바다 속에 헤엄쳐 Yeah, 그날엔 넌 자꾸 다그쳐
이건 절대 게으름 피우는 게 아니라는 거야. 무슨 말을 해도 핑계처럼 들릴 테니까 일단은
Baby I love you Baby I need you 이렇게 아무것도 안 해도 좋은 걸 I can't leave you